Keep going.
So, in your notes, you should have defined what quotient is. It's the answer to a division problem. And reciprocal, which is probably a brand new word, is really where you're taking the value of a number and you're flipping it. So the number is like doing a handstand, or the value is doing the handstand. We're going to move to the second chunk in our notes, which is titled Finding Reciprocals. So now we're going to use that definition to help us find reciprocals. So we have example 1. It says, find the reciprocal of 9. So right now I'm just going to look at the number 9. Reciprocals, we're going to take a number and we're going to flip it. So it's like I need a top and a bottom. Well, what right now would be on the bottom of this? A 1, right? So if I take and I flip that value, the reciprocal of 9 would be, and you can write this on the line, 1/9. That is the reciprocal. You take a value and you just flip it upside down. Let's do example 2. We have find the reciprocal of 5/8. So I have 5/8. I want to find the reciprocal of it. I'm just going to take it and I'm going to flip it. So what is on top will then be on bottom, and what is on bottom will then be on top. The reciprocal of 5/8 is going to be 8/5. The last example we have, example 3, says what's the reciprocal of 1 1/2? And now here's the thing. This is a mixed number, right? Remember, there's addition and division in there. Let's get that addition out of there by changing it to an improper fraction first. So if we change that to an improper fraction first, we would have 3/2. So now I have a top and a bottom. It's easy to flip. Find the reciprocal of 3/2, you would get 2/3. So a reciprocal is where you're taking a value and you're just flipping it. Let's look at the next chunk in our notes. I want you to just watch and listen right now. Division is all about equal groups, right? I have 6/8 of something divided by 1/4. I want to know how many groups of 1/4 go into this 6/8. It's a part divided by a part. I'm going to find the quotient, the answer to this division problem, by using a picture first, before we get to the steps or the procedures for this. So I'm starting with 6/8. That's what I have to divide out, correct? Okay, so I'm going to draw 6/8 here. Pretend that that's a beautiful circle. I'm going to cut it into 8 equal parts. Pretend that these are all equal parts. And how many of these 8 parts do I have? I have 6. So 1, 2, you do not need to do this with me in your notes. 3, 4, 5, 6, right? Would you agree that this represents 6/8? Beautiful. And I want to know how many groups of 1/4 go into this. So let's see here. I got to create fours. You see what I'm doing, creating fours? Would you agree that here's a group of 1/4? So there's one group of 1/4 that goes into here. Would you agree that this would be a group of 1/4? So that's 2 groups, right? And would you agree that this would be a group of 1/4? So how many groups of 1/4 went into my 6/8? 3. And that is the quotient to 6/8 divided by 1/4. That's what it looks like when you draw pictures. We want to know how many of this. This is our divisor. How many of this goes into here? Right? Well, there's 3 words that help us when it comes to dividing fractions. Write these 3 words on the 3 lines provided. We're going to keep what we have to divide out. We're going to change division to multiplication. And we're going to flip. We're going to find the reciprocal of our divisor, of that second fraction. We're going to practice. It's really nice. We're going to keep, change, flip. Yeah, that's the action. Everybody knows how we're dividing fractions. You'll get that more tomorrow. But let's practice dividing this out right now using keep, change, flip. We already see what the quotient should be, right? I used a picture to model that. You do not have to have this picture in your notes. But let's just use these three words now to find the quotient to this problem. All right, we're going to keep 6/8. We're going to change the division to multiplication because the opposite of dividing is multiplying. And we're going to flip. We're going to find the reciprocal of our second fraction. So the reciprocal of 1/4 we learned, you just flip it, is 4/1. Now, 6th graders, this is a multiplication problem. That's equivalent to this division problem. And multiplication with fractions is nice. It's multiplication and division go so nicely together, right? And multiplying is just nice as well. We're going to start by simplifying before we multiply. 6 and 8, do they share a factor? You bet they do. It's 2. Whoopsies. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 8 divided by 2 is 4 times 4 and 1. The only factor they share right now is 1. So I'm just going to keep it. Are we done with simplifying? No. I took this numerator to this denominator, but now I get to take it to this denominator. 4 and 4, do they share a factor? Yes, they do. It is 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 4 divided by 4 is 1. My new problem looks like 3/1 times 1/1, which we get to be 3. Just like the answer we got when I do the picture. We're going to remember keep, change, flip. Yeah, that's the action. All right, now we're going to practice with mixed numbers. Still dividing, so we want to find the quotient of 1 1/3 divided by 1 5/6. How many groups of 1 5/6 go in, or can we pull out of 1 1/3? Kind of interesting to say it that way. But remember, dividing is the same as multiplying by the reciprocal. That's why we can remember keep, change, flip. But before we do any of that, when we have mixed numbers, we want to change them into improper fractions first. So I have 1 1/3 is the same as 4/3 divided by 1 5/6. That's the same as 11/6. We want to change them into improper fractions first because remember, there's addition in here. It's just invisible right now, right? By definition, a mixed number is the sum of a whole number and a proper fraction. Now, we're just going to apply our idea that, hey, when we're dividing, it's the exact same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal. So we're going to keep the first fraction. We're going to change division. So we're going to change division to multiplication. And we're going to find the reciprocal. We're going to flip our divisor, the second fraction. 6/11. Now, it's multiplying fractions. Can we simplify? 4 and 3, the only factor they share is 1. 6 and 11, the only factor they share is 1. 6 and 3, they share a factor. It is 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 4 and 11, they don't share a factor outside of 1. So then we have 8. 1 times 11 is 11. 8/11. That is the quotient for 1 1/3 divided by 1 5/6.